Good morning and welcome to our kitchen. I'm Gordy Galusha.
I'm Nancy Ostrash.
And today we're going to be making asparagus ham quiche, chicken corn chowder, and for dessert I'm going to make a Watergate cake with a cover-up icing. And I'm going to begin with my cake because I have to get it all together in order to get it into the oven. So in my bowl I have a package of white cake mix and a box of pistachio pudding. I have a cup of oil, three eggs, Today's a good day, the sun's shining, finally. Okay. And I have a cup of 7-Up soda, 1 cup of very fine chopped walnuts, and a half a cup of coconut. And that's it for the cake. So I will mix it up, get it ready to put in my cake pan. Make sure that you mix it well. There's no lumps. I have my oven on, 350 degrees. I'm going to bake this for 50 minutes. Okay, this looks good. So, into my bundt pan. This is a very interesting bundt pan. This used to be my mother's, and it's about 50 years old, but it still makes a good cake. She used this cake pan an awful lot. I can't say it's as old as I am, but it's 50 years old, I'm sure. It's really been used a lot. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to smooth it out, make it even. Okay. This is what it looks like when it's all ready to go into the oven. And I said 350 degree oven for 50 minutes. Have to test it to see if the middle is done. So I'm going to turn it over to Nancy.
Okay, thank you, Gordy. I'm going to try to do two recipes at the same time. And I just undid the onion, and we can smell it all over the place. I like to do recipes that have a vegetables in season or different things like that, or something of interest. And when we are filming this, it's beginning to be local asparagus season. You can get asparagus now, I think, all during the year from different parts of the country and in southern countries too. Locally, particularly in the valley next to us, they'll be coming available shortly. Sometimes the ones that you get locally are very thin stalks, and it takes a long time to prepare them and whatever. But first of all, I'm going to start on my soup, which is chicken corn chowder. Now, what I can say about the chicken corn chowder is corn here is not available yet, of course, but you're starting to get corn in the grocery stores from other parts. But when we would go to Pennsylvania, in the Pennsylvania Dutch area, and we'd go to auctions, and of course, good auction places, whether they're held in fire stations or other places, they always had a little cafe. And it just seemed that every time we went to one, the soup of the day was chicken corn chowder. Now, there are many recipes, I'm sure, to make it. This one is going to be enhancing canned chicken, cream of chicken soup. And first of all, you're going to saute in 1/4 cup of butter or margarine, 3/4 cup of diced chopped onion, and 3/4 cup of chopped celery. So I'm going to let that cook or saute to get it tender, and I'm going to start my quiche. This is a crustless type quiche, which is easier and to do than trying to either make your own crust, your shortening crust, or I always buy one now at the grocery store. And it's just a matter of putting things into the pie plate. This is a 9-inch. And I want 1 package, which is 10 ounces of frozen cut asparagus, thawed, and I like fresh asparagus. So I prepared up to 1 cup of asparagus, fresh asparagus that I kind of cooked al dente. You don't have to cook it thoroughly. Chopped it up. Goes in the pie plate, which I have sprayed with shortening. Then about 1/2 cup of cooked chopped ham, and again I bought my cubed ham already cubed, and this is an 8-ounce package, which would be 1/2 pound, but it seems like an awful lot, so I'm going to just put in what I think is appropriate. This is which good thing about recipes like this is when you're baking something, you have to be pretty precise. So I didn't use the whole 8 ounces. And 1 cup of shredded Swiss cheese. And again, I cut up the Swiss cheese myself from slices. And 1/2 cup of chopped onion. So, put this aside. And in this bowl here, we have 3 eggs. And to the eggs, I'm going to 1 cup of milk. And as my 1 cup is already filled, I'll go on to 3/4 of a cup of a biscuit baking mix. And now my milk. Now this is 2% milk, and I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup of half and half to make the 1 cup. You don't have to, it's just what I'm going to do. That goes in. Salt and pepper to taste. My lemon pepper. No salt, lemon pepper. And some parsley. I'm using dried parsley. You use fresh or dried. Mix it up well. Keep an eye on your onion and celery sauteing. I want it to burn. And now you pour this mixture over the ham, asparagus, Swiss cheese, and onion. Goes into a 350, 375 oven for 30 minutes at least. Check it with a knife to see that it's done in the center. If not, leave it in for a few more minutes and check it again. Okay, now back to the soup. After your vegetables have cooked down tender, you're going to add 1 3/4 cups of milk. And this time I'm going to use, if I've got enough, about the 3/4, no, not quite enough, the half and half. You can almost. And then 2 cans of your favorite cream of chicken soup. This is why I say enhancing the canned soup. Whisk it in. And some salt and pepper to taste. They could. You might not want a lot of salt because of the condensed soup. And some basil. Again, I'm using dried basil. And a half a teaspoon. Well, if you don't like basil, you don't have to use basil. You could use parsley. Your choice. Now this should be heated, but not boiling. There's nothing worse than having your soup curdle because and sometimes that happens at restaurants. It's a thin line there of keeping the soup hot, but not boiling because it's not attractive to serve cream soups that have curdled. So you want to whisk it good to get it all mixed in and smooth. So we will slowly heat it up to get serving temperature. Okay, now I am done at this point with the 2 recipes, and when Gordy can make her frosting, we will be back. Welcome back to our table. We neglected to say at the beginning that this is program number 227. So we made 3 things today, and I'm going to start, first of all, my quiche and my soup. This is asparagus ham quiche. I'm highlighting asparagus season, and it was very easy to make because it's what we call one of these crustless quiches. And you just put in the bottom of your pie plate some asparagus, and I used fresh asparagus. You can use frozen. Chopped ham, and some Swiss cheese that was cut up, and some chopped onion. And then in a separate bowl, you're going to beat together 3 eggs, a cup of milk, and I used a little half and half to make it richer, and the Bisquick baking mix, and then seasoning, salt and pepper, and some parsley. That is poured over the asparagus and ham and Swiss cheese, baked in the oven, and this is what you get. And then the soup I made is a chicken corn chowder, which is what I consider enhancing the condensed cream of chicken soup. You can make, I'm sure there are other recipes for the soup available. And I started out by sauteing some celery and onions until tender, and then I just added 2 cans of the condensed cream of chicken soup. And again, milk, and a combination of some, mostly milk, and I added a little half and half with it. And then I neglected when I was at the stove, because the corn was back behind me draining. I added later a can of corn drained, and so that is in the soup now. You can use what kind of canned corn that you like, or even frozen corn, but you would thaw it out and put it in, and some basil if you like basil, and salt and pepper to taste. Just make sure, try not to really boil it up so that it doesn't curdle. You slowly heat it before serving and get it just to a simmering point. So now we will get to Gordy and have her talk about her cake that she made.
Today I made a Watergate cake and with a cover up icing, and it's pistachio, and I used a white cake mix, and I put a box of instant pistachio pudding in it, and oil and eggs, and there's also a cup of club soda in there, or 7-Up or club soda you can use, and some nuts and a little bit of coconut. Mixed it all up and put it in my button pan and baked it in a 350-degree oven for 50 minutes. And I took it out and cooled it down. I put it in the refrigerator. You should probably, now it should be put into the refrigerator because it's sliding on down into the middle. So anyway, the frosting is it's supposed to be Dream Whip, but I couldn't find any Dream Whip. But I used Cool Whip and a box of pistachio pudding and mixed it up and made a frosting out of it, and this is what it looks like. So if you would like any of these recipes, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Dalton Community Cable, 151 Park Avenue, Dalton, Mass. 01226. And that's all from our kitchen today. Have a great day.